NFL teams. You should also know your client's deficiencies or areas of concern. And what we like to do, instead of just sitting back and waiting for the NFL person, whether it be the scout or the coach or the GM, to address that and ask us about that, we like to be proactive and to address it first. So if there's an area of concern, let's say we have a client who has a hard time picking up a playbook, for instance, who really, and for lack of a better term, just really has a hard time just learning defensive schemes. Tremendous athlete, but just has a very difficult time learning a playbook. To be proactive, rather than be exposed, to be proactive about it and say, excuse me, coach, I just want you to know that at my school, you know, the defensive coordinator, they built that defense last year to my strengths, which is the ability to run and to hit. So they really didn't scheme me in an organized defense, but they just let me run around and just make plays all over the field, which is my skill set. However, I want you to know that I'm willing to put in as much time as possible. I'm willing to come in after hours to watch film, learn that playbook. I am willing to commit 100% to being the best player I can be, because this is important to me. And I want you to know that, coach. As hard as I'm going to work to learn this defense, you know, I will learn your defense. And having addressed that proactively, the coach can sit back and, you know, there are no concerns anymore, because he's addressed that at the start of the conversation. He hasn't been exposed. He addressed it and said, you know what, I realize that I'm not the best at learning defenses, but I'm going to do whatever it takes once you draft me and I'm on your team to learn your defense inside and out so I can make a difference. So address areas of concern, deficiencies proactively. Think of a valid explanation, a justification, and be proactive about that. Contract negotiation. In contract negotiation, you are essentially selling your client. What we like to do in any negotiation, we compile a list, a term sheet of key points. What's most important for us? Rookie contract. We need to really address that split language. We don't want a split contract for more than 2 years. Second, base salary escalators. If your client's going to sign a 4-year deal to maximize the signing bonus, you want to make sure that you have a salary escalator in year 4. If he meets certain playtime requirements, the team improves its statistical ranking. In any of the first 3 years, his salary will escalate in year 4. Now, we represented the top fullback in the draft in 2009 from Syracuse, Tony Fiammetta. As a true old-school fullback in an NFL offense, you need to be very careful about the playtime requirement you negotiate in an escalator. There is a fullback who plays for the Jets, who's represented, he was the #1 fullback in 2010. The contract we negotiated for Tony that year, the year before with the Panthers, where he was the #1 fullback, there was a 35% playtime escalator, which meant that if Tony was on the field for at least 35% of the offensive snaps in any season, his salary would escalate and double in year 4. Top fullback in 2010 is with the Jets, John Connor. His playtime requirement for his escalator, 50%. Now, do you think he's ever going to reach that as a true old-school fullback and in a pro-style offense? 50%? No. So essentially, his representation gave away that 4th year. And that's not right. So we have a key list of points that we want in the contract, and we weigh them. We prioritize them. And then we have another list of points that will come up during the course of negotiations that aren't as important to us. Now, what we do during the negotiation when we sell our player, having prioritized the key selling points, we are then willing to concede on lesser valued terms on our second list, not letting the team know that they're lesser valued to us. We want to mask our concessions so the team does not figure out our true value structure of what's really important to us. There's a saying from The Art of War, Sun Tzu: let the enemy think that you are strong where you are weak, and let the enemy think that you are weak where you are strong. Endorsements and sponsorships for your players. Selling is key, obviously, in that respect. When you market your player to companies for possible endorsement deals, you must back up any proposal with solid, tangible evidence of how they will reach that company's target demographic. How will that company derive tangible utility for their endorsement dollars for your client? We talk about success on the field. First thing we mentioned, when we sell our player to these companies for endorsements and sponsorships, we talk about performance on the field as reflected in the statistics for that player. How does he rank? Is he in the top 10 in rushing? Is he in the top 10 in sacks in the NFL? Does he exude excellence every time he steps on that field on Sunday afternoons? That's the first key. Companies like to be associated with winners. That's why Tiger Woods got so many endorsements when he was winning 14 majors. They like their brand to be associated with winners and championships. That's what sells. Secondly, appeal. If we have a client who carries himself well, has good presence on camera, we'll sell that to a company when we're looking for an endorsement deal. Finally, social media reach. That is another overlooked component nowadays. How many of you have Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts? Almost all of us do. If you have a client who has been very active in social media and has 10,000, 15,000 followers, that could be of huge value to a company. You know, if he's endorsing that company A's products, he can tweet, he can reach 15,000 people in a second. We're in the process of negotiating a sponsorship deal with a company called Greater Than. Greater Than is a coconut water-based sports drink. They're based out of Highland Park, which is close to Chicago in Illinois. And I worked on a sponsorship proposal a couple weeks ago for our NFL guys, and I've incorporated, in my proposal, we incorporated a flat fee paid throughout the season. We also incorporated commission percentage based off of Twitter click-throughs, where our clients would put the link up to their site. They would tweet it, have like a pre-arranged phrase from that company. Based on click-throughs that we could originate back to their original tweet, they would then be paid a certain commission percentage based off sales that were derived. And for every subsequent order placed by that person who clicked through off their initial tweet, our client would continue to be paid. So it's a source of continuous income. In exchange, what do they want in exchange? They would want our clients to wear their gear. They have sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, every possible opportunity, especially during the NFL season, nothing related to a practice or a game. They would want our client wearing their gear, the Greater Than gear, to get value from that. They would also want our clients to market openly and aggressively to their teammates, their coaches, their trainers, the product. So there's a give and take, there's back and forth, but if you have the right fit with the right company and you can sell your client as a champion on and off the field, then you can secure these types of endorsements and sponsorships for your player. Media opportunities, this is key. Our office is based in New York City, which I believe is the Mecca. It's the capital of everything in the world. Fashion, media, entertainment, music, you name it. As Sinatra once said, you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. With media opportunities, you need to sell your client to a publication, to a radio station, to a television station. The key in selling a client for a media opportunity is to really emphasize a unique story angle. Media publications, radio stations, they don't want the common story. They don't want the hackneyed. They don't want just the regular, everyday story. They want something unique. They want a unique, compelling story that they can sell. They can sell magazines. They can bring viewers to their show. They want that type of angle. So in selling a client to a publication or a station, you need to identify a unique angle, a unique story that will pique a publication's interest or a station's interest. For example, this year, one of our draft-eligible clients is Chris Stewart, offensive guard for Notre Dame. Chris's unique story, this is back when we were recruiting him in the fall. I told him we'd help him out, see if they would do a story on him, ESPN the magazine. The unique story about Chris was that he was the first player, I believe, in D1 history to play major D1 college football and attend law school full-time, which he did this past season for Notre Dame. I'm going to conclude with some general tips and pointers about making your mark in the industry, whether it's as an athlete agent or any type of sports-related profession. Number one, acquire the proper skill set to succeed. I believe that business-related coursework is essential. Accounting, finance, marketing. As an agent, I think that a legal degree, practical legal experience, is essential as well. Contracts are key as an athlete agent, and in order to thrive, you really do need to focus on gaining that skill set, gaining that experience, knowing what a force majeure provision is, knowing that you need to insert a carve-out if your client is stuck in Omaha, Nebraska and can't get to Miami and he's missing training camp, first day of training camp because there's a tornado or there's an airline strike or there's a huge hurricane down there and he can't get in, that is an act of God. That's a carve-out. That should protect your client from default. You have to make sure that that's in every contract. I've mentioned this before. Take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way in your environment. For me, it was playing pickup basketball at Notre Dame. You have to be aware. I like to say eyes and ears open, mouth shut. That's the way to approach every opportunity and make it a priority. There's no replacement for good old hard work. I believe that you cannot stand still in this industry, especially in sports. You need to always move forward or you're moving backwards. There's no standing still. Your competition is out there working, networking, developing a skill set, reading sales-related books. Hard work is key. Surround yourself with good people who share the same vision, the same core values, the same beliefs. You will find it much easier to achieve the success that you want. You don't want any dead weight pulling you down. You want people that have the same motivation, the same belief, the same goals and dreams to raise you up. Network and press the flesh until the cows come home. I touched on it briefly, but networking is key. It's the only way to make the right relationships and entrench yourself in the industry. As an agent, you use the combine. You use postseason all-star games such as the Senior Bowl. You use college pro days. These are all opportunities where you'll meet scouts, you'll meet coaches, personnel directors, GMs. You'll be able to introduce yourself, press the flesh, shake their hand, hand out your business card. That's how you establish relationships and you build credibility. Do it the right way. And this is key for us, this is key for my agency. Always let your principles guide you. That's the key. It's my favorite quote. The quote is from Henry David Thoreau, Thoreau. And the quote goes like this: if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. When I was certified, I got certified while I was in law school. It was back in 1997. And at that time, the NFLPA really had no requirements to be an agent. All they required was that you paid the annual fees, the annual dues, and that you had no felonies on your record. That was it. There was no requirement for a bachelor's degree. There was no requirement at all. Ever since then, they've instituted measures. For instance, a few years ago, they instituted an exam. Now you have to pass an exam. It's an open book exam, but you have to pass an exam to get certified. Then they instituted a requirement where you need a postgraduate degree now to be certified as an agent. So a bachelor's degree is no longer enough. You need to get either a law degree or a master's degree to get certified. A few years back, they instituted malpractice insurance, where on top of the annual dues, which would be anywhere between $1,200 to $1,700 a year, you now have to purchase malpractice insurance to keep your certification. The premium comes out to about $1,700 a year on top of that. So they're just making it more and more difficult because they want to get rid of the riffraff. They want to really concentrate the industry on agents that are doing it the right way and just having actual clients, rather than having a certification they put up on their wall. How many agents are out there that are women, basically? There are a handful of agents that are women. It's, I believe that a woman can do just as good of a job as a man as an agent. Thank you. I think that it's a little more difficult to sell yourself as a woman in this industry, but if you believe in yourself and you've developed that skill set and you're confident in what you can offer, then I think you can definitely achieve success in the industry as an agent. I know for a fact that, And I never, the player would never